Hi there, I'm Maddie. I'm the founder of a content agency, and I give Process Street a 5 out of 5 stars. So, we tried a number of different project management tools, and I think I realized throughout the process that what I really needed was a process management tool. But the project management tools that we went through that worked in different capacities, but didn't ultimately capture the full need of what I was looking for in terms of working with a team versus just managing my own task, include things like Todoist with very basic functionality. It worked for a long time until it didn't. I also tried Freedcamp, which had a lot of advanced functionality, but ultimately was a problem in terms of things like notification settings, bringing in people at the right time during different stages of a project, and also things like Trello and Asana, which are really great for content editorial needs in general, but didn't encompass the full project life cycle for what my company does. So I ultimately chose Process Street for my business because, first of all, it's incredibly customizable for anyone who's interested in coding, or really more specifically the no code movement. A common limitation of any software tool is just the ability to customize it to your specific needs, and using things like custom fields, which tools like Freedcamp did have, but again, we're very limited in how you could execute them. And so the great thing about Process Street, and really the major reason why we switched to it, is because you can build out your ideal workflow in terms of several different things, like picking a specific assignee for a specific task, setting due dates by the task level, having conditional logic, not just for certain tasks to appear, but also for certain parts of tasks to appear. Like if we're working with a specific client who has a different need than the majority of our clients, being able to customize very individual elements of a workflow made it so that I don't have to over project manage or over communicate to my team. I can just set it once and then essentially forget it. So things like that were really important. I think other things that have drawn me to this tool and kept me with it over time are things like integrations with other tools we use. It has a Zapier integration, which more or less connects it to any tool that I could use. And then it also connects with things like different tools within the Google Workspace ecosystem, like Google Sheets, Google Calendar. And they're always working on more native integrations in addition to the Zapier integration. So those are probably the major reasons why I use it. I think another thing that factors into my decision as a team that works with multiple different contributors is the way that they go about pricing. With a lot of project management tools, a lot of tools that scale per user, you're dealing with a per user cost. Not everybody on my team is a full-time employee or even a full-time contractor. We have a lot of individual contributors who are working part-time, and so to have to pay a per user cost for all of them would be pretty crippling for a small business like mine. But Process Street scales really nicely where not every user has to be a paid account. It depends on the different levels of access that you need them to have. And with Process Street, the way that they handle that is perfect for my business. So getting started with Process Street is just like any other tool. There's a little bit of a learning curve as you get used to the user interface. You get used to the different tools within the interface, the different fields that you can customize. I've always found them to be very straightforward. For me, it wasn't difficult to get started with it, more so than any other tool. And compared to some of the other project management tools I've used, most of the ones I've used have also been fairly straightforward. One thing I really appreciated about Process Street specifically is that they have a library of different workflow templates. And so you don't necessarily have to start from scratch. You can go off of existing best practices, for example, existing workflows that already exist. They have a lot of other educational content, like their blog is a really great resource. Members of their team, you can jump on a call with them to troubleshoot your workflow. You can even hire them to build a workflow for you if you're getting kind of lost in the weeds or looking for really advanced functionality or just don't have time to do it yourself. So I think that support in general with Process Street is great, especially their customer service. Whenever I have a question, it doesn't take long for me to get an answer. And that's great because so much of my business processes run on Process Street. So if there's ever anything that I need to troubleshoot, I know that I can count on them to get back to me quickly so that my business doesn't have to skip a beat. So, if you're looking to get started with Process Street, I would recommend before jumping in fully, just playing around with it. They do have a free version of their account levels where you can create a basic workflow. They've recently incorporated some AI functionality so that you can experiment with building workflows without getting into all the nitty gritty details from the start. I'm also a fan of kind of writing out your workflows before you try to implement them on any tool. I think that's just an easier way to get started than trying to create a workflow while learning the user interface and also trying to customize it. There's also, like I said, Process Street's team that can build out workflows. So, all you really need to know is how to use Process Street. You could always outsource the actual creation of your workflows. And another team that I would recommend for doing just that as well is Build the Process. So lots of great resources out there. Use them, use their customer service, and really just start playing around and you'll see if it's a good tool for you or not.